On our most recent episode of Cardinal Territory, Bernie took an oath to be even keeled and level headed no matter what happened in the next couple of weeks with the St. Louis Cardinals after they spent the weekend with their most dominating series sweep or series win of the season, in my opinion, over the Cleveland Guardians. They came to Pittsburgh, and Bernie, you said no matter what happens, I'm gonna try not to overreact. And the Cardinals must have heard you and took that personally because not only were they swept by the Pirates, they did not score one single run over the last 3 days in Pittsburgh. It was not fun. Morale pretty low right now. Bernie, what are you thinking?
Well, first of all, I'm thinking with the attitude I'm going to have on this edition of Cardinal Territory that all of the people, your subscribers that say, "Oh, I'm so glad you have Bernie on there," you're probably going to get a different kind of opinion because I'm actually really cool-headed about this. This team, has played 15 games in the last 14 days, and they won 9 out of they went 9-6. I realized that the Pirates made them look really, really bad. There's no excusing the offensive performance in particular. But this Pirates team actually destroyed a Mets team that has a $330 million payroll in the 3 games before the Cardinals came to town. So even though the Cardinals have lost 5 out of 8, I mean, we can parse this any way you want. I mean, their overall trend is good, but the offense is almost hopelessly inconsistent, and that's a fact more than an opinion. And they're a beat up team right now. And I know a lot of fans, Katie, and it's okay, man. People can believe what they want to believe. They don't want to hear about the tough schedule. They don't want to hear about players being banged up. And it is true that that's the reality for all teams. But I think the Cardinals went into Pittsburgh at a bad time because the Pirates, in case people haven't noticed, and by the way, I don't think a lot of people have noticed because on KMOX the other day, we had people, commenting. It's like, well, they're only going to play the Pirates. The Pirates are like 23-17 since May 20th. They're actually a really good club right now. So no, the sky is not falling, but I wish they would stop getting shut out.
Yes, I think 2 things can be true here. One, the Pirates can be on a heater. They just won 6 straight. They looked really good against the Mets. They looked really good, obviously, against St. Louis. And another thing that can be true is that the Cardinals are banged up. We'll get to that later in the show.
Sure.
And they didn't play well this series at all.
No.
I mean, they pitched well 2 out of the 3 games. Andre Palante was fantastic. Sonny Gray, good start up until the end. And you know what? We talked to Brendan Donovan after the game, and here's what he said. And it was as simple as it gets. He said, "We sucked. We didn't score any runs. We're on to Chicago. That's all I got." And of course, he expanded past that, but I thought that was a very poignant and to the point opening statement. They sucked in Pittsburgh. They did not score any runs. It was maddening. It was frustrating. They were without Nolan Arenado for 2 games, no Wilson Contreras for a game and a half, no Lars Nootbaar for a game. They're relying on a bunch of guys right now that don't have a lot of pop, and they just got outplayed. So what do? You flush it, because if you dwell on this series, for as good as the Cleveland one was, the Pittsburgh pretty bad, you have a super important series ahead starting Friday. I'll tell you though, Bernie, these guys are absolutely needing that off day on Thursday. But I'm with Donnie. They were really bad. It wasn't fun to watch. It was super frustrating. You flush it and you move on.
And they've gone through this before. I mean, they were really bad early in the season. They lost a bunch of games in a short stretch. They had that 6 or 7 game losing streak in when was that? Late May, early June, I guess. The Cardinals have been in the gutter a few times this season, and they always respond. And so I'm going to assume that they're going to respond again because there is a tenacity to this team that I admire. And that doesn't go away because they got their rear ends kicked in Pittsburgh. And after all, again, I realize nobody wants to hear this. It was a 3-3 road trip. I mean, I will say this though, getting shut out in, 5 of your last 8 games, probably not good. I had a note that I put on X. I fed some red meat to the peoples. The 2004 Cardinals team got shut out 4 times in 162 games. This Cardinals team just got shut out 5 times in a week. But that other team had a bunch of Hall of Fame talent. That's the difference.
Yeah. And it was pointed out to me by one of the members of Cardinals PR because I missed the Cleveland series. He said, Katie, did you know that you're approaching 49 innings without seeing the Cardinals score a run in person? And I looked at him and I said, that's maybe the most depressing stat I've heard all week. And we joked about this, Bernie. We joked about it. I said, the Cardinals always play well on the road on the trips I'm not there. And I jokingly said, I did not think this was actually going to happen. Watch them get swept by the Pirates. I didn't think that was a legit possibility. I also thought they would score more than one singular run in 3 games. And they didn't do either of those things. So bad series. I thought their overall approach was fine given who they lacked in the lineup. They did hit a lot of balls. They put a lot of balls in play. They went 2 for 23 with runners in scoring position collectively through the series. So that's not going to play. But I didn't think there was anything different with the approach. I didn't think there's anything, I thought they were more or less the same hitters. They just were missing 3 of their best hitters. So not great. Not a good top series for Donovan in the leadoff spot. So JC is going through it right now. Gorman coming back to earth a little bit. What can you do? You move on.
And again, my point isn't to like pick on certain players, but in addition to the guys that they're banged up, Donovan went into this game 7 for his last 49. Burleson went into this game 5 for his last 36. Contreras' numbers are down for the season. He's on a pace to have like his worst full season offensively since 2018. He's still a good hitter, though. Don't get me wrong. We all wanted Sajasi up here. And again, not dumping on the kid, but he hasn't done anything since they recalled him. And who else? I haven't, had some notes here, and I don't want to go nuts with him. Oh, well, Lars Nootbaar, since, May the 1st is hitting 202 with a 630 OPS. So my point is, these are the guys that the Cardinals really need to lean on to come through. And when they were going well, these guys were coming through, right? But it just shows you like the talent level. I'll say this, the talent level is such that unless your big dogs are getting it done, all of a sudden it's hard to find those runs. It really is. And this was a time where you mentioned it, Kate Contreras and Nootbaar and who else? Arenado banged up. And then on top of that, you have 3 guys that have been terrific that just haven't been hitting lately. That's a recipe for an offensive disaster, I would say.
And we saw it. But I'm with the guys. It was obviously very quiet in the Cardinals clubhouse post game, but I believe the sentiment is, hey, all year long we've been a very resilient club. Let's keep that up. Take the off day. Everyone needs it, and try again on Friday. So we'll get into the state of the Cardinals roster after a quick message from Harry's Razors.
All right, Harry's is going to get an award here, MVP in the shaving world. And AJ, if you want to equate it to things that we talk about, it's not expensive. And it's super versatile, right? The company itself, because there's other products that you can get on the site, deodorant, body wash, etc. But for your everyday shaving needs, Harry's has you covered. And you look at the pricing, you look at the quality, and you're like, wait, why was I using the old classic brand for a long time?
Listen, as somebody right now that needs a Harry's, I've just been lazy. Harry's, I have plenty of them lined up, ready to use. You can use them for more than one shave, which is huge for me. And the pricing is right. I got to go get my Harry's because my neck beard is sick. But Harry's will fix that. It'll line me up straight. It'll no bumps, no cuts. It's exactly what I need for a great price.
That's right. Get the edge on your shave with Harry's. Normally their trial set is $10, but right now you can get it for just $6 at harrys.com/foul. That's our exclusive link, harrys.com/foul, for a $6 trial set.
All right, let's start with our Cardinals injury report. A lot of guys going through it right now. Lars Nootbaar was unavailable Monday's game. He's dealing with some back and rib tightness, soreness, however you want to deem it. Not serious enough for an IL stint, just a couple of days of rest. Back in the lineup, but definitely not 100%. Nolan Arenado has a right index finger sprain that he does not know how he got. He thinks it happened as he's beating out an infield single over the weekend in Cleveland. He was in the lineup to play third base on Monday, was a late scratch. They swapped him and Gorman, so he was the DH. Said if we talked to him Tuesday, he could barely swing and hold a bat. His finger was in a little soft cast. And on Tuesday, he was just a no-go. He couldn't even throw. He tried to go out on the field, couldn't do it. So the thought was on Tuesday to give him Tuesday, most likely Wednesday today, and then Thursday, the off day, give him 3 days of rest and hope that it is better by Friday. So that was probably the worst possible time for Wilson Contreras to get hit by a 99-mile-per-hour fastball from Paul Skeens on the left wrist. I mean, that was his 14th hit by pitch this year, and that one on contact looked the worst. I was surprised he stayed in that game, but he said as he was running the bases, it just was not good. The pain was not subsiding. It was getting worse. So he was removed from the ball game. And he told us Tuesday night, I'm really doubtful to play Wednesday. Same thing as Nolan. Hopefully I can take Thursday and go into Friday and be healthy. So there is no guarantee that either player is back on Friday, but you certainly hope one, if not both. And those two have to be in serious, serious pain to take 2 days out in a row. I mean, Nolan Arenado, you have to like drag him off the field to take a day off. Same with Contreras. So that's how you know it's pretty serious. I thought Jose Fermin did a nice job with the bat filling in. I know there weren't any runs to show for it, but it's not an ideal situation. You also thought that you'd have Jordan Walker back, who's eligible to be activated off the injured list on July 3rd, which is tomorrow. So the Cardinals were looking at potentially having him for the Cubs series. That is no longer the case. Ollie Marmol said while Walker was in Pittsburgh, I saw him this morning. He was meeting with the med staff to make sure that everything was good. This is not an injury, Bernie, that's like a quad muscle or an ankle sprain. This is a health issue, so they're being super cautious about it. Everything checked out good. All the tests were great. So Jordan Walker caught a flight from Pittsburgh back to St. Louis. He's going to meet with the Springfield Cardinals and finish through the weekend, at least a rehab assignment with them. The earliest we'll see Walker is before the National Series starting July 8th, but that's no guarantee either. So that's 4 guys really that we know that are banged up. But let me tell you, that entire clubhouse is clawing its way to the All-Star break. We knew how grueling June would be. They need this off day. Bernie, if these guys can't go on Friday, who needs to step up?
Jeez.
It's a lot.
I'll make a bad joke. When Jose Fermin is like one of your best players in the Pittsburgh series, that's probably a good reflection on the state of the Cardinals offense right now with all the guys banged up or just burned out. Listen, we put a lot on Nolan Gorman. We see that he's capable of delivering a lot of impact. He's a guy that's going to have to step up. Listen, it's unfair because it's not unfair. It's just the reality. Burleson and Donovan are going to have to step up because they've been really cold. And that has an impact on the offense. I think in general, and I don't know how realistic this is, their outfield is basically really terrible offensively, but I don't know if there is a magic solution to that. But you'd like to see some offense from the outfield. And who else? Who am I leaving out here? And again, we don't know whether Contreras is going to be 100% or close to it, or Arenado. So I don't want to mention them. We're talking about guys beside them. And I think really we kind of hit on it. Victor Scott's been going okay. It'd be good for them.
A fine series.
Yeah, it'd be really good for the Cardinals if he had a good series in Chicago. But it's really going to come down to Burleson and Donovan and Nootbaar because they just really need those are essential pieces to this offense. So you don't ask a guy to step up who's basically, incapable of stepping up. Mason Wynn as well. Mason Wynn's got to keep doing his thing. He's been hitting. He gets frustrated though. These are the guys that are going to have to, deliver the mail. There's no way about it. It's a boring answer, but it's true.
It's true, right? Everyone needs to step up. Yeah, of course. And I wonder, for as effective as Pedro Paz has been behind the plate, you and I both know this, we've talked about it extensively. Do they swap in Pozo one day and try to make up for the offense, but know that you subtract some defense? Like, what game are you trying to play there? I saw a tweet. I can't remember who it's from, but something about how the Cardinals need to figure out a way to blend Pedro Paz and Joel Pozo into one catcher, and they'd have like the most elite catcher in baseball. So I do wonder if Contreras and Arenado or are not available on Friday, do we see Pozo in there to just try to get some offense going? I mean, that dude can hit balls that are like 50 feet above his head, I feel like.
He's so much fun to watch. It's true. No matter where you throw it, he'll whack it into left field, right? Drive it up the middle. I mean, I don't mean to be the old guy here, but when I was a kid growing up, I mean, the Pittsburgh Pirates had a really entertaining catcher named Manny Sanguillen, and all the announcers used to say, "You just watch this guy." Like the worst thing you can do, like in other words, the worst thing that can happen to him is if a pitcher actually throws him a strike, because if you throw it right down the middle, he doesn't know what to do. But he's ripping line drives on pitches that are like 3 feet outside, and pitches that are in on his hands, pitchers that are at his feet, and there are guys like that in baseball. And Pozo definitely seems to be that kind of hitter. Those guys are fun to watch, by the way.
He is
Really.
fun. I love when he pinch hits.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we're probably going to have some scoring opportunity here. But for really though, this series underscored to me once again the importance of having an Ivan Herrera in that lineup.
Yes.
They are really missing him, and I know one series does not take away from all the growth that Burleson and Gorman have made, and I'm not suggesting that at all. I actually think this series was very much an anomaly for the St. Louis Cardinals. But when this offense is searching, again, 5 shutouts in their last 8 games, you really start to miss the impact bats, and you really start to miss Herrera. So there hasn't really been a status update for what he's been doing out in St. Louis. Still expects to be at least multiple weeks before they're even considering a rehab assignment. It's been a tough blow. And, I think this also makes it more difficult because it's July, it's trade deadline month. There's a lot of hype over if the Cardinals should buy or sell. And this is why it's really hard to kind of predict what they're going to do, because much like this whole season, they're up and down. And we probably won't know the direction the Cardinals are going to take or what they should take until just before the deadline. So
I agree.
Basically, Cardinals fans, I'm telling you, get ready to ride the roller coaster that we've already adjusted to, of the wins and the losses, but of the trade deadline speculation and rumors as well. And keep me in your thoughts, because it's hard for me too. Okay, I'm already unstable enough, and then you throw in an unstable job. It's just all around a mess.
Yeah, I read your as always, terrific piece at The Athletic about the trade deadline preview, and I actually kind of felt bad for you from the standpoint. It's like, well, I know the Athletic editors want all the beat writers to say, well, this will be the team's approach at the deadline. And with the Cardinals, it's all up in the air. And you did a really good job of like explaining why it's all up in the air. And as much as we all want to say, okay, buyer, seller, do both, what do we do? It's impossible to answer that question in a conclusive or coherent way right now.
Correct. And it's going to change. It's going to change literally every week, if not every day.
I mean, Cardinals fans, listen, man, I should say social media fans, the Cardinals are on a roll, and it's like, oh man, go all in. This team can go a long way. Now they get knocked around, bopped around by the Pirates, and as the season's over, fire everyone. It's like the Cardinals are a big time roller coaster. There's no question about it. I mean, this is the thing that get you really, really. This season is nuts. This season is crazy. These offensive fluctuations are incredibly intense, one way or the other. In their last 10 losses, right? The Cardinals have scored 4 runs total in the last 10 losses. Now, in their last 11 wins, they've scored 5 or more runs every time, and they've scored 7 runs like 7 times out of the 11. So when they're going good, they're like unstoppable. But when they get cold, it's like the worst offense you've ever seen.
They get cold.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I say it's like they're a team of extremes offensively, I'm not embellishing. They really, truly are.
Yeah, they are. They are, Bernie. So just get used to that, Cardinals fans. Like we said at the beginning of the season, not going to be boring.
No, and it's not. It's not.
No. It's not. And speaking of not boring, go ahead.
This is all part of the drama. This is a very dramatic season in a lot of ways. Much more dramatic than we could have envisioned, right?
Yes.
And again, not to be Fred Bird here, because everyone knows I'm not that, but they're 46 and 41. They're 5 games. No, they're 47 and 41.
47-41. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. They're 6 games over 500. I mean, I would have taken that if you would have said, or you would have asked most Cardinals fans, all right, this deep into the season, would you take a team, being 6 games over 500? I think the answer would be, well, heck yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But now because we've seen that their ceiling is actually probably higher, the expectations change. So that's baseball, Susan, to quote one of my favorite baseball quotes ever.
is.
Quick message from CarGurus, and then we'll preview the upcoming series against the Cubs. I know we just saw them, but guess what? They're back again. First time at Wrigley Field all year, and took us forever to get there. So let's hear from CarGurus, and we'll wrap it up with a preview of the Cubs.
Kratz, I am actually in the market for a new car. Yes.
Wow, that's
a
big.
used car up north, so I can drive very far to Todd Father's studio.
And to my house.
And to your house
and
on
you
occasion.
Want confidence, right?
I
You don't want to be
confidence.
confused.
Yes.
Because I'm
transparency,
yes.
which is big on our show.
And just the confidence part is what I stick with, because it's like, I got to check another site. I got to check this site or that site. It's all in one place. I know I got the best deal for what I'm getting.
Take the guesswork out. It's called CarGurus, CarGurus.com to be exact. You can buy or sell your next car today at CarGurus.com. Make sure that your big deal is the best deal, and also they'll connect you with trusted dealerships when you're ready to go, ensuring a keyword here, transparent and hassle-free buying process. They are super popular. Go give them a look. CarGurus.com, CarGurus.com.
All right, to the friendly confines of Wrigley Field we go. The Cardinals have set their probables. It will be everyone on turn. Miles Michaelis on Friday, Matthew Liberatore on Saturday, and the club is planning to start Eric Fetty on Sunday, despite 2 really horrible starts by Fetty. Now, here's one thing that I do know. Miles Michaelis pitching on the 4th of July, I feel like sets something up. I just feel like that's going to be a good outing for him. Sometimes the storylines write themselves. So for Cardinals fans, maybe that will help. Libby has looked fine. He's looked really good, actually. And Eric Fetty, I do wonder if the Cardinals can get some length out of Miles and Libby and leave the bullpen in a good place. I don't think they'll go full bullpen game on Sunday, but I wonder if that would change how Fetty is being used, because he is just so predictable right now. He's getting hit so hard, that cutter especially. I do wonder, Bernie, if the Cardinals could do maybe a short leash with Eric Fetty, and if he doesn't have it early, just go all hands on deck with the bullpen, especially knowing they have the off day again on Monday.
They're going to have to do that. I mean, look, Fetty's a nice guy. Nobody feels worse than him. And he's also got a lot at stake personally, because he's going to be a free agent. But it's just not there. I mean, and really, he's been getting away with a lot of stuff all year, where, his stuff is simply not that good. Every metric will tell you that. So, yeah, I think that there's got to be a little more urgency in this series. Not only because you're playing the Cubs and you don't want to let them run away from you, but also just coming off this clunker of a series in Pittsburgh. I mean, pardon the cliche, but the Cardinals have to make some sort of statement at Wrigley Field that says, no, we're still here. We're not going anywhere. But I think Ollie is going to have to manage accordingly, be really aggressive and really proactive, and manage with a very strong sense of urgency. Sorry, I'm stammering today. So, yeah.
It's because, we've all lost brain cells over the last 3 days.
That's right.
Just begging for offense.
That's right. I haven't even had a cocktail yet. I'm already stammering. So anyway.
Well, I'm on my way to the airport, so that will change. No, I think you're right. And I think that's something the Cardinals are weighing. Look, Eric Fetty was as honest as he could be after Monday's start, where he said, I'm just getting really predictable. I'm leaving a lot of pitches up. When Eric Fetty's at his best, he's low in the zone, getting weak contact. We know this. He's the same ground ball prototype of a lot of guys on this staff. You don't have success as a ground ball pitcher if you leave pitches up in the zone. They get crushed. And he started doing that in the last 2 starts. And yes, there's expected numbers predicted that something like this, not to this magnitude, but better or worse than what he was doing, was on the horizon. And I think there's a certain level of skill, if you're Eric Fetty, that allows you to keep those expected numbers the way they are and your actual numbers lower. But lately, and this is why both outings, things spiraled on him so quickly, he just started leaving pitches up in the zone and could not pinpoint the location of the cutter specifically. He said, I was getting predictable. I'm sitting thigh high, middle, like those are not competitive pitches. And they were not. So that's the key for Fetty, is to clean that up, get back low in the zone where he lives, spike the ball in the dirt. Anything is better than thigh high, middle. And if he starts showing that against this potent Cubs offense at Wrigley Field on Sunday Night Baseball, we all know the balls are inconsistent. I'm not going out and publicly stating that, but expect, especially if the wind is blowing out, that's going to be a really poor recipe for success. So I would expect, my speculation is it's short leash for Eric Fetty. If the Cardinals can get there, Miles and Libby have to, go long post in order for even that to be a possibility.
I have to say, in all candor, real quick, it doesn't exactly fill your heart, our heart, my heart with optimism when 2 of the 3 games are being started by Michaelis and Fetty. However, the Cubs are kind of a weird team. They are much, much better offensively on the road than they are at Wrigley Field.
That's strange. They have such a fun ballpark to hit at.
And it's true. The numbers are conclusive. And yeah, when the wind's blowing out, but the wind doesn't blow out as often as it used to back in the olden days because of maybe all that construction around the ballpark. But so famous last words, but I actually think maybe, pitching at Wrigley Field for those guys, I don't know why the Cubs underperform there, and it could change at any time, but who knows? That's a good way to win 2 out of 3. You surprise them with Michaelis and Fetty exceeding expectations, but I ain't going to lie. I don't have high hopes.
This is not the series to come into with optimism after what we just saw, Cardinals fans, so I do understand. Right. But you know what? Let's all take a mental reset. We'll go into the off day. Like I said, everyone needs it, including me. I can't wait. And, hopefully we'll have a very fun holiday weekend in Chicago. A short one for you guys today at Cardinal Territory, but I very much have to catch this flight. We will have Michael McGreevy on the show, Friday's episode. Yes, as we know, Pro Michael McGreevy podcast. He will make his Cardinal Territory debut. He just threw 6 shutout innings for Memphis on Tuesday in Nashville, and he is the first player ever, when I asked if he would like to do this podcast, to reply, yeah, that would be sick. I was like,
that's a good thing, right?
Then usually it's like, yeah, I guess. So I'm just going to say that maybe he's really excited about it. So we'll see. And then Bernie, of course, will be back with you later at the end of the series.
And just a quick footnote on the way out. With all of this going on, there's one thing that is outstanding. Now, I know Katie Woo's got to do some work. I get it, right? But Katie Woo is going to have an off day, kind of an off day in Chicago. She's on the loose. Everybody watch out. She is on the loose. So I don't know whether that means the stores on Michigan Avenue are going to be doing some business. I don't know what that means, but
it's a St. Louis sports girl weekend. Both Tamar Scher from Channel 4 and Alexa Dabb with FanDuel. They'll be with me. And we're super excited about it. I mean, they're not working the series. I am, but we have the off day together. So yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. Can't wait. And if the Cardinals have some news on like a Thursday afternoon, I need everybody to just pour one out for me and pray for me, because I probably won't be in any state to handle it. So let's just all take the day off.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. You have a good time. And hopefully there is no bulletins that require urgent writing and reporting and all that stuff. So anyway, thanks, Kate. Thank you as always. Enjoy being with you.
Thanks, Bernie. Yeah, great episode. And Michael McGreevy on Friday. Stay tuned. Thanks, guys. We'll be back later in the week.